Hello and welcome back to Somatox, a podcast where body and mind meet. Let's start today by saying that the future does not exist. Seriously, the future is nothing more than a mental concept. It's a simulation running in your imagination. It is entirely abstract. You have never actually stood in the future, and you never will. When the future arrives, it has no choice but to show up as the present moment. Yet, if you look at how we live our lives, we treat this abstract, hypothetical future as the ultimate reality. We've all done it. You're sitting at dinner with friends, but you're mentally calculating your tasks for tomorrow. You're on a beautiful beach, but you're stressing about your career over the next 3 years. We are constantly sacrificing tangible reality for an abstract idea. Today, I want to talk about how to stop doing that. But I don't want to tell you to just breathe and be peaceful. I want to talk about a concept that gets a bad reputation. It is hedonism. Specifically, a grounded, rational kind of hedonism. The actual art of seizing the moment and maximizing the psychological wealth of your life right now, because frankly, this moment is the only guaranteed asset you own. Let's talk about how to live here and now, look at the neuroscience of why we struggle to do it, and figure out how to practically shift our daily lives from constant rehearsal to actual execution. If you are ready, let's begin. Firstly, to change how we handle the present, we have to look at brain chemistry. There is a specific neurotransmitter responsible for our obsession with the future. Dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the molecule of pleasure. It's actually not only this. Dopamine is the molecule of anticipation. It is the chemical of desire and pursuit. It gets released when you look forward to a goal, when you plan a project, or when you swipe to see the next post. On the other hand, we have a completely different chemical system for the present moment. These are the here and now molecules, things like serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. These chemicals are released when you appreciate what is physically right in front of you. The problem is that modern society is a giant dopamine machine. We are conditioned to live in a state of postponed living. We tell ourselves, once I hit this revenue goal, once I get this specific apartment, once my life looks like this outline, then I'll allow myself to enjoy it. But that equation is broken. If you spend 99% of your time practicing the mental habit of waiting for the next thing, then when you finally achieve your goal, your brain won't know how to enjoy it. It will instantly default to its favorite habit, which is looking for the next dopamine hit. This is how people end up successful in their CV, but completely bankrupt in terms of everyday life satisfaction. They have optimized their life for the abstract future and completely forgotten how to enjoy the present reality. This is where the concept of hedonism comes in. When people hear the word hedonism, they usually think of reckless, chaotic behavior, partying, overindulging, or completely abandoning responsibilities. That's what philosophers call short-sighted hedonism, and it usually leads straight to a massive crash. But there is a different approach called rational hedonism. It's the understanding that the highest quality of life is achieved by maximizing present sensory experiences without destroying your future self. It's about recognizing that if a moment cannot be enjoyed, it is somehow wasted. Basically, what is the actual point of building a great career, earning money, and so on, if you are never mentally present to consume the value of those things? Imagine two people going for a walk in a city. Person A is hyper-focused on the future. They are walking fast, listening to a business podcast at 2 times speed, mentally reviewing their calendar, and stressing about a deadline. They walk through a beautiful, vibrant neighborhood, but they notice absolutely none of it. Person B is practicing rational hedonism. They are walking at a natural pace. They notice the architecture, the way the sunlight hits the pavement, the smell from a nearby bakery, the song playing in their headphones. Both people spent exactly 30 minutes walking. But person B extracted massive psychological wealth, sensory pleasure, and neurological recovery from those 30 minutes. Person A just generated extra cortisol for an abstract scenario that hasn't happened yet. Person B actually lived. Person A just managed logistics. Let's back this up with a little bit of physics and neurobiology. Why does living in the present feel so grounding, while living in the future feels so frantic? It comes down to a simple reality. Your physical body can only ever exist right now. Your mind can jump across timelines. It can go back to an interaction from 3 years ago, or skip ahead to a hypothetical crisis 5 years from now. But your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a mental simulation. If you are sitting comfortably in a chair, entirely safe, but your mind is rehearsing a worst-case scenario about your finances next month, your brain immediately activates the sympathetic nervous system. Your heart rate increases, your breathing patterns change, and your body gets flooded with stress hormones. You are experiencing a real physiological stress response to an abstract imaginary concept. When you pull your attention back to the present moment, you are choosing to align your mind with your physical reality. Let's do a reality check right now, wherever you are listening to this. What is the exact physical temperature of the room or the air around you? What is the texture of the surface your body is currently contacting? What are the actual, literal sounds occurring in your immediate environment? When you look at those points, you realize that in this exact space and time, whichever story your mind is telling you now isn't really happening. Right here, right now, you are just a person listening to a podcast. This realization that time is largely a mental construct is a core foundation of Eastern philosophy, particularly in Zen and Taoism. In these traditions, there is no pressure to become some enlightened, perfect being. They look at reality very practically. The core argument of Zen is that the past is gone and cannot be changed, while the future is an illusion that doesn't exist yet. Therefore, the present moment is the only space where you actually possess any agency. There is a massive Western misconception that Eastern philosophy is all about passively accepting everything and doing absolutely nothing. That's a total misunderstanding. It actually demands uncompromised engagement with whatever you are doing. This is mindfulness, immersing yourself entirely in the experience you are living right now. It means you observe consciously and you feel fully. In Zen, they have a saying, "When walking, walk. When eating, eat." It sounds ridiculously simple, but it is one of the hardest things for a modern human to do. It means when you are doing a task, you give that task your absolute undivided presence. This state of uncompromised engagement is what modern psychology calls flow state. When you are in a flow state, your self-consciousness drops away, your sense of time distorts, and your brain defaults to peak efficiency. You aren't judging your performance, you aren't worrying about the outcome, you are just entirely merged with the action itself. Eastern wisdom asks you to be a realist. It asks you to stop running. So how do we practically build a lifestyle that prioritizes the present without ignoring our long-term goals? Because let's be realistic. We still have bills to pay, careers to build, schedules to maintain. We can't just ignore the future entirely. The secret is shifting from a habit of mental time traveling to a system of intentional time blocking. Planning for the future is a tool, not a permanent state of mind. You can block out 30 minutes on a Monday morning to plan your week, organize your budget, look at your deadlines. That is a highly functional use of your prefrontal cortex. But once those 30 minutes are up, you close the planning app and you return to execution mode. You treat the plan as a set track, and you allow yourself to just run on it without constantly reevaluating it every 5 minutes. Another highly effective shift is monotasking. We are often proud of our ability to multitask, but from a neurological perspective, multitasking is just a rapid, exhausting fracturing of attention. You are opening 20 tabs in your brain, running none of them efficiently, and generating high amounts of mental fatigue. Choose to practice monotasking. When you are on a call, close your other browser tabs. When you are eating a meal, put your phone in another room. When you are chatting with a friend, look at them and listen, rather than waiting for your turn to speak or checking your smartwatch. Give the current activity permission to be the only thing that matters for that block of time. By treating your attention as something premium, you stop wasting your energy into an abstract future that doesn't even exist yet. Here are 3 lifestyle changes you can implement to start practicing rational hedonism and present moment awareness. First, the microdose of stillness. We have a bad habit of filling every single micro moment of waiting with digital input. When you are waiting for an elevator, standing in line for a coffee, or waiting for a meeting to start, what do? Your hand automatically dives into your pocket to grab your phone. You blast your brain with information just to avoid 2 minutes of empty space. This week, challenge yourself to keep your phone away during those microwaves of waiting. Just stand there. Look at the room, feel your feet on the ground, and let your brain breathe. Treat those 2 minutes as a premium asset of uninterrupted reality. Second, the sensory first minute. The rule is no screen time for the first 60 seconds while you start to do something. For 1 minute, make it a purely sensory experience. Notice details, anchor yourself in a real physical pleasure. And third, the reset. When you catch yourself looping in anxiety about a future deadline or an abstract problem, physically change your state. Stop what you are doing, look down at your feet and firmly feel them on the floor. Take 1 deep breath, exhale fully, and notice exactly where you are standing. Return to the physical facts. Before we finish this episode, let's look at the big picture. Your life is not a rehearsal for some future perfect event. So, let's stop treating the present like an obstacle we just need to get through. You've worked hard to build the life you have right now. Let's actually start consuming and enjoying that reality. Give yourself permission to practice a little radical hedonism. Truly taste your food, savor your coffee, look into the eyes of the people you love, and appreciate the space you're in. The future is going to show up when it shows up, and honestly, it can handle itself most of the time. Thank you for being here today on Soma Talks. If this episode clicked for you, send it to a friend who might like it. Take care, and until next time. Soma Talks, Agata Daras.